Nigeria, by extension, Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say. The state of our nation today is a mirror reflecting both our progress and our pain. We stand at a point in history where promise of growth and equality still competes with the reality of corruption, unemployment, and of course, social unrest. It's impossible to ignore the frustration that fills the hearts of many citizens, people who work hard, and they also hope deeply and yet see too little changes. But amidst the struggle, there is also strength. Our people remain resilient, creative, and determined to build a better future, even when leadership falters. The state of the nation is not defined solely by those in power, but by the everyday heroes, right, who keep the country moving forward. Still, it is time to demand more honesty, more accountability, more action. Our nation deserves not just survival, but transformation. It's a beautiful episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name is Osaiwa Mesale, and today we are just discussing the state of our nation. And of course, I have my good friend with me that will be joining me via Zoom, Kunle Lawal. Now, remember, Ways is all about you. You are the why in Ways. So be part of the conversation by adding your voice to the discussion. You can head on to our YouTube channel. It is at Official Upgrade TV. Hit the subscribe button, like, share. Invite your friends, family, frenemies, everyone to watch the show. When you open the phone lines, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But first, let me allow you ponder on my quote for the day. It says, "The state of our nation today is a mirror reflecting both our progress and our pain. We stand at a point in history where the promise of growth and equality still competes with the reality of corruption, unemployment, and social unrest. It is impossible to ignore the frustrations that fill the hearts of many people who work hard, hope deeply, and yet see too little change. But amidst the struggle, there is also strength. Our people remain, of course, resilient and yes, I think I'm going back again to let me take back that quote again for the day. It says, that's the quote by Obasanjo, right? It says, if you ask me in one word, what is the bane of Nigeria today? I will say it is leadership. Leadership that is self-centered, leadership that lacks knowledge and understanding, and leadership that does not view service as the core of what leadership is about." And this was from the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. Yes, apologies for the earlier read. So we'll explore the state of our nation today. But first, let me run off on a break. When I come back from that break, I'll let you in on my news interest for the day. Please stay tuned. All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Monday declared former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, that's Timipre Sylvia, wanted over an alleged conspiracy and dishonest conversion of $14.859,257 million in a public notice. EFCC spokesperson Dele Oyewole said the funds were provided by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board for Atlantic International Refinery and Petrochemical Limited. Now, senior EFCC officials added that Silva had been placed on watch list of the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, Interpol, and the United Kingdom Metropolitan Police and security agencies in Canada and other countries. Now, according to his special assistant on media and publicity, Julius Bokuru, Silva is currently away in the United Kingdom. This development comes, of course, 24 days after the House of Representatives resolved to probe the alleged mismanagement of over $35 million investment by the NCDMB in a modular refinery project that never materialized in the Niger Delta. Okay, what do I have to say about this? There's a lot to say. I just want to really hope that EFCC, they're a bit honest with these particular arrests. And this is one out of many that is supposed to come. If you look at the way Nigeria is structured today, there is so much room for corruption. There's so much room for impunity. A lot of people just do things anyhow. So in all honesty, we need more of this. But beyond that, can we see reasonable conclusions and let it not be that it's a case of let's just throw him out there and, you know, do all the razzmatazz and all of a sudden that case goes quiet, because we've seen several of those kind of cases that never reach any concluding part. And I hope he doesn't come back tomorrow and says, oh, he's joining the ruling party and all of a sudden all sins are forgiven. There's just a lot that is happening in Nigeria, and I'm just only praying and hoping that our politicians will come to the realization that, yes, you might be getting away with some level of impunity or anyhowness that we do, but by the time this all blows up in our faces, every one of us will be affected. So at some point, you would ask, what is all this wealth that I'm amassing? What is it for? And you just do the right thing, right? It doesn't make any sense. Imagine if that refinery actually saw the light of day. Just imagine the number of people that would benefit, apart from the number of people that would be employed, the number of households, then the fact that, yes, petroleum products, like what Dangote is doing right now, petroleum products would come to the people cheaper. The more we have players at the refining level, the better for all of us as a country. So you cannot be giving that much, and yet there's nothing to show for it. People must be jailed. A lot of people, they have to seize their fund, their whatever it is that they've acquired. Let us recoup back. There's just too much. Sometimes when I hear the amount of money that is, that we have lost to corruption in this country, like your head literally wants to explode. So I just try as much as possible to stay away from Nigerian news. But this is one out of many that should happen in this country. I'll move on to my next story. Oyo teacher's death. There was a death, right? Teacher's death, it was due to illness, right? Not student attack. That's what the authorities are saying. Because the Oyo State Ministry of Education and the Nigerian Union of Teachers in Oyo State, the chapter in Oyo State, they've dismissed the report. They were allegations that, the teacher was beaten to death by students, in Ogbomoso, describing the viral news as, they described it as false and a complete misrepresentation of facts. Now, according to the statement by the special advisor, media to Oyo State Governor, Dr. Sulaiman Olariwaju, he said that they clarified that the claim that the late teacher, Mr. Adi Goke Abiodun, was beaten to death by students is unfounded, that the incident in which he confronted 4 students gambling on school premises occurred on the 28th of May in 2025, while the teacher passed away on the 4th of November, sadly on my birthday, in 2025. So Olayiwola explained that the investigations that revealed that the teacher was not beaten by the students. He added that the teachers initially sought treatments from a local bone therapist and a private hospital, but was later diagnosed with stage 4 bone marrow cancer. Yeah, of course, definitely from the report, you would see that there was an altercation, but that was not what led to the teacher's death. So families of the my final story would be 31 years after brutal killing of the 4 Ogoni leaders by irate youth in Gyoko local community, that's Gokana local government area of Rivers State. Their families and some Ogoni leaders have renewed calls for the recovery and release of the victims' remains for proper burial and lasting reconciliation. The 4 slain chiefs are Chief Edward Kobani, Mr. Albert Bade, Chief Theophilus Orage, and Chief Samuel Orage. Their gruesome murder in 1994 triggered the arrest, trial by military tribunal, conviction, and subsequent execution of playwright and environmental rights activist Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 of his associates on November 10th of 1995 under the regime of the late General Sani Abacha. Kobani said that it's been 31 years since my father and 3 others were brutally murdered, right, by the Gokana people who, he said, so we had every reason to seek revenge, but we choose forgiveness over anger because our real strength lies in how we rise above what happened. He decried attempts by some individuals and groups to distort historical facts about the tragedy, stressing that the killings occurred in broad daylight and the perpetrators were known. He says the former minister condemned what he described as the macabre dance of recent efforts by some persons to lay wreaths on empty tombs of the slain leaders, calling it a mockery of their memory. Okay, so I would always say that, yes, we must always go in the path of peace. Whilst I agree with that, it's also important that in Nigeria, beyond say, yes, we want peace, let peace reign. For every time incidences like this happen, it is important that thorough investigations are carried out, and it's also important that people that are found guilty, they meet the hand of the law. I suppose just say, okay, let's forgive each other, let's move on. I get that part, but whether we like it or not, lives were lost, right? So thorough investigation, so it's not looking like somebody is trying to hide something, right? So I'll move on to taking a break. When we come back from that break, yes, I'm going to be having my friend, Kunle Lawal. Let's discuss the state of our nation. Stay with us. Okay, so thanks for staying with us. On today's edition, our guest is a highly respected Nigerian political figure known for his unwavering commitment to democratic governance, electoral integrity, and of course, political literacy. Yes, he taught me how to become a lot more politically literate. As the leader of the Electoral College Nigeria, a non-partisan organization, he has championed civic education and strengthened democratic participation across the country. A former Senate candidate who developed 49 bills during his 2017 to 2019 campaign. He continues to advocate for policies that promote national development and good governance. Through his writing and, of course, public engagements, he's always and continues to inspire a new generation of informed and active citizens, remaining a prominent voice, of course, for democracy and accountability in Nigeria. So please join me to welcome my good friend Kunle Lawal. He is the executive director of Electoral College Nigeria, and he's joined me via Zoom, even though he was supposed to be in studio. Hi, Kunle. Are you there?
There, when you turned 40, I said you're just like fine wine. But I'm thinking I'm going to have to retract that statement because your mouth is becoming sharper. Pull that statement back.
So, as a 40-year-old now, I have no chills. I just say it as it comes.
Yeah, I'm beginning to see that. It's always a pleasure. It's great to be back on Ways. It's really great to be back on Ways. I don't know. I've been on sabbatical from Ways. It's
Yeah,
really great
so
to be back on
you've
Ways.
been on sabbatical, and I was really hoping to, but of course, it was circumstance beyond your control that couldn't allow you come into the studio. But we're happy to still have you. Anyway, we have you. At least we are able to hear your voice. Thank you, Kunle. I mean, Kunle, first of all, can we start with the very interesting conversation that is happening all over social media? Do you want me to remind you? Let's just quickly play a video, then we'll come back.
Okay.
We will not allow because you will for number and then you to carry land.
Sir, everything was acquired legally.
Will you stop
and
that?
You get
Will you stop that?
Sir, I'm an officer, I have integrity.
Shut up, you are not good officer.
I will not shut up.
Will you get out?
Sir, I won't shut up. Sir,
I was in school, you're not in school.
Sir, you can't shut
Will
me
you keep quiet?
You can't
Get
shut
a
me
big
up, sir.
fool.
I'm not
You are a big fool.
I'm not a
You
fool,
think you
sir.
can shoot anybody like that?
Sir, I'm not
You
a
are
fool.
big fool. Are you?
I am not a fool, sir.
As for the time I
Don't call me a
graduated,
fool.
you are in primary school.
I'm acting on orders.
Take for
You
which
can't
order?
call me a fool.
And this, you will see whether you love me here.
Sir, you can't call me a fool.
Go
I'm
and develop your
an
mind.
officer. I'm not a fool, sir. I'm an officer.
You would have killed everybody here.
No, we won't kill anybody. We won't kill anybody. We are acting on orders.
Hello, Kunle, can you hear me? I mean, this is like the perfect
Yes, I can hear
time.
you.
This is the perfect time, and this just helps us to start the conversation about the state of our nation. When I saw this video, I said, "Oh, the timing couldn't have been more perfect." But Kale, where are we truly in Nigeria in terms of, just general things when it comes to governance, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to how both the governed and the ones governing, how they approach, this entity called, this great nation called Nigeria? Where are we? What state are we currently that we're in?
I critically cannot deny the fact that um, we Nigerians are massively politically illiterate. And because we're politically illiterate, we make choices on biases, on gender, on party affiliation, and etc. So this is interesting. And I've, seeing this video, I've had conversations with people, people over social media, my friends in Abuja. I'm still an Abuja boy, and the conversations over there. And there's two sides of the divide. People say the military, the lieutenant, sub-lieutenant was a little rude because he was talking to a minister. Now, I find this very contradictory, and I'll tell you why I find it contradictory. Because the president suspended a sitting governor of Bara, and Wike was all over the news about it. As a lawyer, he was all over the news about it, clearly understanding that Section 305 does not support that. The president has no powers to suspend, just like the governor has no power to suspend local government chairman. Now, people fought and argued this. It was okay for Minister Wike to threaten Fubara with local government chairman, to threaten Fubara with State House of Assembly, which are both unconstitutional to an elected governor. And then they now bring up the conversation that the sub-lieutenant in this video was totally acting unconstitutionally. First, did the minister have a constitutional backing, that's a warrant or whatever, to go into that plot of land? He doesn't. It was totally unconstitutional and totally unfounded. So the minister has no right, which is why he turned back and left. But the decorum of the minister goes to say how much we have misplaced ourselves. So the soldier acted constitutionally. The minister is unconstitutional. Supporters of the party of the minister seem to think it is wrong for the soldier. You celebrated unconstitutionality with the suspension of River State Governor. You celebrated constitutionality with the minister threatening River State entirely and holding it to ransom. So I do not understand or cannot find. For me, the simplest way I can explain it is that if you were discussing this situation and supporting the minister's action, even though he had no constitutional right, infringing on the rights of whoever held that land because he's minister to bust into it, which he has no right over, it means that you just sound like a herbalist who probably cooked up a concoction for maybe a local powered or let's say spiritually powered bulletproof, and he shot at himself to test it. And the first name he screamed was a prophet's name. That's kind of a contradiction. So that's how I look at it. And for me, it's great. I respect what the soldier did there. Minister had no constitutional right. Most people will say it's an emotional bias. No, I'm not in opposition. But if we're to maintain our thing, what is, then it is clear the minister stood,
Kunle,
the soldier stood his ground, and the minister was out of line.
Kunle, Kale, this is why I love you. You know why? Because you are able to articulate what we've always said, and you put it in very clear perspective. Because you see, this is the current state of Nigeria. A lot of people, when it favors me, then we are doing the right thing. When it does not favor me, then it means that you are trying to circumvent the rule of law, or you are trying to go against constitutional authority, which is what we see at play. And I'm so happy you brought back the incident that happened with Fubara and how Wike was the ringleader in impunity. So you see, these are the things that we talk about, that you see, when we say to Nigerian politicians, or we say generally to Nigerians, that we have to put in structures that would help keep ourselves in check, right? And regardless of whoever is in power. I think it was Jerry Rawlings that said that even if they bring the devil himself to come and rule over Ghana, they don't have a choice than to fall in line because of the kind of structures that they've put in place. One of the biggest structure that we've always had issues with is our electoral process and the democratic integrity that we have. Because look at what happened in Anambra State, for instance, right? A lot of people are talking about how the elections was, smooth. Of course, they brought back the sitting governor. But yesterday, I had a conversation with a guest, an observer from CCD, and he was saying that, first of all, there were no real oppositions, right? Because a lot of people, it's almost like a cross-carpeting has happened, so it doesn't really have real opposition. So how do you test the integrity of that election if there was no real opponent in the game? So, Kunle, election still remains one of the critical, determining factors of how the direction the country will go. How do we strengthen this process? Beyond all the things that we've said, what do we need to do? Because for me, looking at that soldier, and I see him standing up to that authority, not being afraid, that's the kind of courage that we need at this point in Nigeria. We can't all longer continue to shrink, and shrivel around these people.
So for me, when you come into elections, I'll tell you the first mistake we made in elections. And it started with Governor Amici, which was how he became governor in River State. As long as any court decides elections in any country, then democracy is under threat.
Whoa.
Courts don't decide elections, people do. And in Nigeria, we have a situation where courts seem to decide elections. I don't want to remind us of the Uzodinma incident of where number 4 became number 1. Let's not discuss that matter now, because that's another long story. But if we're looking at a process, first and foremost, people always agitate for electoral reform or electoral laws. That stop hold. The electoral laws on ground, are we even adhering to them? I can tell you in the Anambra elections, the people from the top parties, and that would be APGA, APC, PDP, Labour, of course, cross-marked the 1 billion mark for expenditure in campaign financing in the election for governor. The campaign limits, according to our electoral laws, is 1 billion. The top 4 exceeded that amount. These laws are there written in paper. Secondly, 92.1 or is it 92.2 of the Electoral Act clearly states that state apparatus, and state apparatus refers to appointments of states, meaning SAs, etc., or whatever. It means use of governorship vehicles, and etc., flagged with campaign paraphernalia cannot exist. So it clearly states that state apparatus cannot interfere with elections on any parameter. So if you are an essay to the present governor of, let's say, Soludo in the case, and you want to say Soludo for God, you must step down as an essay or a commissioner first. These are in our laws, 92.2 or 92.1. I can't remember which one it is, of our electoral acts. These laws are there. Thirdly, there are multiple infringements by political parties on the electoral laws which we have in Nigeria, from vote buying. Massive people were caught with vote buying. I'll tell you, the election was peaceful. I give INEC that credit. You cannot take that. But peaceful is one step. We are proud of it. I would even tell you, in Anambra's history, this is the most voted election. You cannot take it from them. Anambra has a 2.6 million voter population and has never accounted for more than 400,000 votes. This time they went to much higher. They went to 500 and something thousand. We have to give. We have now existed outside the Electoral Act, created a culture of politics, and culture is defined as a way of life. We've created a laws outside INEX jurisdictions, and we have created these laws and we thrive within it. This is a governor, and Soludo was bold enough to say anybody that delivers his word, he was going to offer an amount of money. That's campaign inducement. And it was mentioned by the governor. And everybody was cool about it. Like I said, the laws of a country are only as strong as the number of people that know it. So imagine the entire Nigerian population, the Electoral College puts it that 82% of Nigerians are politically illiterate. So it means 82% do not understand the Electoral Act, do not understand anything. What are we dealing with?
Oh my God.
So before we even start to talk electoral reform, before we start to talk about moving forward, the laws that we have that are existent, you want to add more laws, what's the difference? When the laws that are even there, nobody knows them, INEC does not adhere to them, and political parties also don't. How do you have a problem in primaries when there's a state chairman which the electoral commission? For me, that's a failure of INEC. You have only one constituted authority in this state. In Anambra State, let's say, for example, National Publicity Secretary, State Publicity Secretary will conduct primaries. Another one will be held by the secretary. Another one will be held by the chairman, and they will all go to INEC and go to court. Depending on who can manage the court, like Wiki gets the primary. So my problem is more Nigerians need to understand the Electoral Act. More Nigerians need to understand the laws guarding our entire electoral system. We are so concerned about the product. Everybody wants Peter Obi to emerge, Kwankwaso to emerge, Atiku to emerge, Tinubu to emerge. Nobody is concerned about the process in which they emerge. So for me, that's a key problem. And you cannot have a democracy, and I've said this multiple times, you cannot have a democracy where there is, let's say, averagely in Nigeria, there's no political party that can give you 500,000 people that are paying dues. None. So if we do not participate, how do you call that a democracy? So what do we have? So some people select people for us, then we choose between the devil and the blue sea. That's not a democracy. It's a selectocracy, let's just say. Because nobody is there when they pick Peter Obi or they pick Tinubu or they pick Atiku or they
were
pick
not
Soludo.
in the process of determining who the candidates would eventually be that will make it to the ballot boxes.
So we're just concerned about the product. Everybody just wants to let's say, drink how do I put it? Also, let me put it better. There's everybody just wants to eat amala. Nobody cares whether the amala is the person washed hand.
So, but Kunle, I mean, you were the one that played a very pivotal role in teaching me this principle. You remember when we first met some years back? Every time I said, no, we have to vote, you have to, and you kept on, but I never really understood it. The day it clicked, it was almost like the scales dropped from my eyes. When you helped me to break down the process to which somebody eventually gets to that ballot paper, why it at that point is already too late, because it is whoever we meet there that we choose. So you were the one that brought that consciousness in me that it was important to be part of a political party. It was important to be part of the, the process in actually selecting who would eventually represent the party, right? Until date, every time I get the opportunity, I always say that. But there's something that is fundamentally wrong, right? The way the governance structure or the leadership structure is, the way it is structured in Nigeria, I don't think that there is a political will for this literacy to happen, right? That awareness, if citizens remain ignorant, the state of things will continue, the status quo will continue, and politicians will continue to ride on our ignorance. So who do we hold accountable to help with this civic education that would help people begin to see better? The way you helped me drop the scales off my eyes. Civil society groups, they are doing a lot. But how do we get it at a scale where it becomes ingrained in our subconscious that this is something we are supposed to be part of if we must see any reasonable change in this country?
Let me first explain. Power in any country is vested in people who want to hold it. And the people who want to hold it guard it jealously. They understand that if the average Nigerian knows his left from his right, they will not be in power. Hence, the National Orientation Agency, INEC section, have only taught you vote. They never tell you join political parties. You know what they're doing? They're intentional about it. And I will tell you, APC is not a bad party. PDP is not a bad party. Labour Party is not a bad party. NMP is not a bad party. Drive in 1 million Nigerians that know what they're doing. And Tinubu will not emerge as presidential candidate. Atiku will not emerge as presidential candidate. I can even tell you, Peter Obi will not emerge as presidential candidate. It is that critical. And the NOA, that's National Orientation Agency, has only sold the conversation vote. They don't sell any other conversation. They don't tell you that you can come into the party and become a delegate. They don't tell you that you can do this or do that. I'll tell you for free. 2027 is lost. We're going to have the usual suspects because already Nigerians are docile enough not to participate. So whoever emerges, we're going to be arguing with our selectocracy who comes out. Because we need a massive influx into a party. If we have a massive influx into a party, even a sitting president, an incumbent president will struggle to win a primaries. But here, we don't struggle to win a primaries. It is almost, look at what happened with Biden. Biden was president. But the people that, the US uses direct primaries, which means that the DOC was going to, that Democratic Convention, was going to, people were going to, as long as you have a Democratic card, you're going to vote openly. And people knew Biden would have lost that, which was why they brought out Kamala Harris. But we're in a situation in Nigeria where an incumbent president already has a ticket before the primaries are being conducted. That's not a democracy. That's not. So we're constantly held down. And I'll tell you, as citizens, we have mortgaged our responsibility. And okay, we want to blame INEC, we want to blame NUA, we want to blame. This is what I always tell people. You know Davido's wife's name. You know that Regina is fighting with her husband. I do not understand how you are not in a political party or you do not understand the system which governs your country. For me, that is a failure. And to the party people who always say party is supreme, I always take my time to explain something. Party can only be supreme in a communist government. A democracy guarantees full rights to party members and people that are not party members. So that party is supreme is a hoax. And it has been used to chain us to doorsteps without us even knowing that we could leave the room. Party is not supreme in a democracy. You've never heard it in any advanced democracy. Party is only supreme in Nigeria. And only if you want to practice what China is practicing, or you want to go and join my Oga that is fighting Ukraine in Russia, party is not supreme in a democracy. So we need to understand that a party can only be driven. And I've always argued this, that we don't have legacy parties in Nigeria. Parties raised, and I think I raised this in 2023, parties raised up to at least a party like APC and PDP raised up to 3 trillion in party forms. And I don't want to do the math here, it's quite long math. But just think of local government chairmen, 7 for at least 5 people will contest in the party. 5 multiplied by 10 million naira. That's already madness. That's just local government chairman. We haven't even moved to House of Rep. Do you understand? Before they now pick a final candidate. So they end up to 3 trillion. But these parties do not encourage civic education. These parties, people say they don't have ideologies. They actually have ideologies, and I'll explain. APC is kind of like actually like the Republican Party. It's kind of more socialist. PDP is capitalist. SDP is a bit between socialist and capitalist, a bit to the left and a bit to the right. Labour Party is funny. Labour Party, and this is the conversation that makes me laugh. Based on ideology, Labour Party and the APC are the two closest parties by ideology. They're the two that don't see you, but they're the closest in ideology. Closest. If you look at their constitution, they're the closest in ideology. Meaning that if we follow party ideology, whether Labour Party wins or APC Party wins, if they are following their ideology, it's the same thing we're going to get. But here's the conversation. Political parties in Nigeria, our form money or whatever is not used in the party to grow people that could be elected. It's stolen and robbed off. So we do not have legacy parties. So please, I've run for office before. How would I invest my 100 or 150 million party delegates to chop their own before they now give me tickets? And I'll get tickets. I'll use my small 50 million, sell my house, run for office. Then when I win, you say I should practice your ideology.
That is
as
going
Gen Z will say,
when you win, it is time to recover what was lost.
Yes. Well, no, it's not. No. Let me use.
How do we start to then hold our leaders accountable? Because we say all these things all the time, but we keep on repeating it until it is driven home. We'll go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having an amazing conversation with my good friend Kunle Lawal on the state of our nation. I mean, of course, it's always a pleasure having Kunle to discuss some of these things. Sometimes I just wish we could replicate his brain in a lot of Nigerians so that it just help us move forward and progress very quickly. But Kunle, I mean, the young population, right? The young population in Nigeria, they make up a very huge percentage. Some have said 40%, but I believe it's higher than that, of the people that are able to take decisions in terms of who to lead and all of that. To some extent, right, in 2023, we were able to gather a good number of voters from that age demography. But you see, this thing about joining political parties is still very sketchy. Is there a real reason young people do not want to go into these political parties, right? Is there a real reason that they are not interested? Or is it, I know there's always a money issue somewhere, because like you rightly said, if you've invested all of these things, you're not thinking when you eventually clinch that seat, you're not thinking how you want to go by any ideology or go by any real work. You are just there to just recoup what has been spent. But young people, right? How are we able to? How do we start to really gather that that very strong voter bloc that can truly shake things up in Nigeria? How do we do that?
I'll take a little time to explain how I became National Publicity Secretary. And it was
Okay.
simple. So I joined the party. I met Professor Remy Shonaya, co party at the time. I met Professor Remy Shonaya, and she stopped me into co party. And the first thing I did was, why is COA not present in the FCT? I built the structure within the FCT. I called my friend in Kano and I said, I did this in Kano. You could be Kano chairman. And I introduced him and I said, let's build it together. Before I knew, I'd built 7 state structures. I was immediately appointed director of strategy. But that was kind of like a party of the constitutional distinct appointment. And when it came for the chance for National Publicity Secretary, because I'd been on TV a bit as director of strategy and handling these conversations, I was nominated to be National Publicity Secretary, and I held that position well. I'll tell you something. The money, the correct word for party now is obleba. The money that we used to do oble in Lagos on Friday, the money we used to play on, it's enough for us to put in a council into office. It's enough for us to enforce our positions in political parties. The problem is that I don't think we take Nigeria too seriously, or we believe Nigeria can become the country of our dreams. That's where I think young people have a problem with. They believe, no, it's status as usual, and I'll be honest with you, we have made the wrong life attractive. I've always told people, Nigeria is not mentors or good people. We just celebrate mediocrity. This is a country where, no offense to Portable and what he's doing, but Portable has 2.5 million followers. What does that tell you? This is a country where if you go for Big Brother, even 100 million and a house, and if you're first class in UI, you get let's just say 1 million naira cash check, and that's all. Why would I want to come out to
You say 1 million?
Rather struggle to get into Big
I've seen
Brother.
10K check, 10,000 naira.
I've seen
for a first class.
Yes, I've seen. Yes, we've seen it. I'm just trying to be nice. I'm giving them.
You cannot be nice in this. We have to call it as it is.
So here's the position. We are already training people to think that hard work does not pay. So when you liken that to the politics of it, nobody wants to work hard. Let's be honest. Let's look at the present president. He started his political journey sometime in 91. He became president in 2023. That is nearly a 40-year gap, if I'm right. He spent so much time. How many people are ready to work that long? How many people are ready to institute a change? I just watch what will happen. The number of people that will come out in 2026 that they're running for office with totally no plans. How do you want to achieve that? Even if you mistakenly win. We've seen the people who won with Labour Party use their TOSA that were in, for an example. The House of Rep who won with their TOSA. How many bills has he passed? I'll help you. 0. So I think when we vote, we'll just say, okay, we vote top to bottom, according to our former president, top to bottom. That's how we vote. We don't even vote based on municipalities. And the biggest problem is we're so politically illiterate that we cannot even tell what a good manifesto is. We cannot even tell what anything is. Like, now, if you go and run for office now, they'll say, I'm voting for her. Why? She's a woman. Some guys.
No, you should quantify it where she's a fine woman.
That's why I say she's hot. But would they know whether you have the constitutional or legal understanding? I'll tell you something. We put political literacy in elected office at 65%. That's 65% political. Most of them have not read the Constitution. Most of them have never put anything in. Even your so-called faves, our favorites in the National Assembly, have not done anything. And that's where the problem lies. So when you have a country where it doesn't even look like you understand the way politics flows. How do you then show them what is normal? I'll tell you, the hardest work I have picked is what I'm doing. And trust me, sometimes I want to hit my head on the wall so many times when I read things from Nigerians. But we have to continue believing that the next generation, we would be able to impact some knowledgeable stuff to them that we could maybe in time reap from. And over the course of my work, we've put down, I keep telling people, you cannot engage a system you do not understand. So before you start, the first thing to do is to go and sit down with the system, understand, and to engage it. That's the first thing. Most people will tell you, no, go ahead.
So no, KL, because we were having fun, and I just looked at the time. We actually have very short time left. One of the biggest challenges in our country
I just
today,
noticed.
yes, is security, right? Security, and again, the state of our economy. I just read a story about silver, our mineral. There's illegal mining going on a daily, steady, and they are being even governed by military guys, right? The people that are mining illegally are being governed or being watched by military guys so that they secure them whilst they're doing whatever they're doing. Security is one of the biggest challenge. Of course, the state of our economy is another big challenge in Nigeria, right? At this rate where we are today, is it still tied back to governance? Or we now need to have other actors wake up and play, in that space? So I'm talking about the corporate organizations, right? Should we start to probably call them also to come and put in their weight in these sectors, despite all the shenanigans going on in leadership and governance that they are not getting it right? I'll give an example. For instance, Dangote for the refinery he's done. It's a very bold move. With all the pressure and everything that has come, and I'm sure that he went through a lot of pressure from the government, because again, when they see any form of development at that magnitude, all they're thinking is, how do I make money from this? They're not really concerned about how it impacts the people. But he knew all the nuances, and he still went ahead to go into that thing. So do we need bold entrepreneurs to come in and step in these kinds of situations? Maybe it would just force the arm of the politicians to just do things right. Do you think that can help us?
No. So here's the conversation. You cannot have bold entrepreneurs stepping in if the policies are not right. For the policies to be right, you need good politicians. Now, here's the disconnect for the corporate world. Nigeria corporate worlds believe they can thrive without politics. And if you see Dangote's successes, whether you like it or not, he has, though it's been hard, he has a conversation with this thing. And I'm surprised, people that own digital banks or whatever are not there. Mark Zuckerberg has a great conversation with the US Congress and Senate. And this is where you must be lobbying and whatever, and what you need to do. As regards security, I've always critically stated this, that when you have 400,000 policemen, of which 50% of them are guarding VIPs that we know, how do you expect 200,000 policemen to police 200 million people? Please. How is that possible? Your military to be called in. Okay, let's add the military. 250 plus 400,000 military, of which half of the military is also guarding VIPs and vital assets. That's 200,000 plus 250,000. That's 150,000. Guarding 200 million people. Wow, it's not possible. We have, I don't know how we've been tricked into clamoring for state police when we actually should be clamoring for local government police. I don't know how governors pull that trick, because the truth is, when you watch your American movies, there's no country with 100 million people that does not have local government police. Nigeria is the only one. And when you're looking at, your movies and whatever, you see the sheriff in a town. What do you think sheriff is? Well, where you grew up, if there's still a TV today, you can point to the house of at least 4 people that brought it. But when you have a policeman that was raised in Uyo going to go and work in Zamfara, how do you expect him to be able to effectively police it?
Hmm.
So till we move to local government piece, we're always going to have a problem with security in Nigeria. For me, impunity has always been the way. Whenever EFCC says they are chasing somebody like Silva, it's always the sensational news. I'll tell you something. I've worked within government. I've served as an essay to a minister. A governor cannot take out that money without the accountant general of the state, without the auditor general of the state, and a lot of other things. Why are those ones not also mentioned? Sunday Silva that we're chasing. We're not ready to fight corruption in this country. If everybody is dragged, the whole chain, then we can have a conversation. Plus the bank that released that kind of ungodly amount of money because we have such laws guarding
And
how much
we have
once you
limitations
remove
in
a
bank
particular
transactions.
amount
Yes.
of yes, we have limitation. Which bank approved it? Till bankers start to go to jail over it. Now we're not ready. We're totally not
I
ready.
mean, thank you,
Why are you
Kunle,
calling
because
Ole Silva?
thank you, Kunle, because
No,
you
go
see,
ahead.
when I saw that story, I said, okay, they are just looking for things to keep Nigerians busy, right? And it is so
Yes,
it will
of
now
course.
go back to
What
the
else?
very first thing you touched on, which is the ignorance that we as Nigerians we exhibit all the time. Because I believe that by the time we gain some amount of awareness, it will be difficult for politicians to continue because they've been playing the same book. They've been doing the same playbook. They've been using the same playbook. But Nigerians have just refused to develop their, their literacy level as regards the power play and how it happens and all the transactions. So for as long as that happens, we might never move forward. So where is down the hope?
No, let me tell let me tell you why it's cool. And it's a simple reason. And I've said this multiple fora, and I want to say it here. Nigeria is a buffet. Everybody is waiting for their turn to eat samosa or goat meat. That's why nobody cares. Because the truth is, why should I hold him accountable? So when we enter, somebody will now hold us accountable. No, let's carry face so that we too will chop money when we enter. And that is the problem in Nigeria. Because we need to maintain. It's true now. When let's give an example.
So
when
now, when
Aisha's
you reach my
uncle
turn,
was minister,
you want start to
when
play
my
by
turn,
the books. No, wait, make I finish.
No, I beg. Well, let me chop too. Let me build house too. Let me buy house in Banana Island. Let me go to Monaco and watch the Grand Prix. That's the level we're at.
So sad. So Kunle, if you had one final thing to say to Nigerians, what would that be as we wrap up?
I'd first say that the biggest problem is we do not have Nigerians. We have people that are Efik, Hausa, Thieves, Mangu, whatever tribe you want to call. We need to have Nigerians so that we can have a conversation about Nigeria, develop an ideology for Nigeria, and develop a pathway for the next generation. If we do not do that and we continue functioning within our Hausa, Yoruba, Tiv, and so Efik and whatever tribes, Nigeria will never move forward. So we need to first develop a Nigerian tribe and a Nigerian direction so that we can move forward for the next future. And one thing that people normally underestimate is that Nigeria is the most populous Black nation. And if Nigeria fails, every other Black nation in the world fails, even if a black man or woman becomes president of the United States.
Absolutely. And we're hoping that because you exist, because I exist, we'll keep on contributing our quota to make sure that, we get the Nigeria of our dream. But thank you so much, Kunle. Always a pleasure, having you around. So hopefully next time you're going to be in the studio because we're not going to let you go.
I will be I'll be in the studio. At least let me sit opposite Fine Babe.
Yes,
I
now,
don't need
yes.
to be looking about this.
and Fine Babe likes to be ignorant, and that ignorance is the upper hand against us. When we know better, they will not be able to do things anyhow. They will be forced to do things. For the better nation, we must start to wake up as Nigerians. Again, so if you missed our quote for today, here it is again. It says, if you ask me in one word, what is the bane of Nigeria today? I would say it is leadership. Leadership that is self-centered, leadership that lacks knowledge and understanding, and leadership that does not view service as the core of what leadership is about. And this was from our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. Again, Choma is going to see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, lives a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.